Yeah. Alright. Deep breath. So apparently, Ashes of Creation is dead. That sentence feels surreal to write considering this thing has been around 2017. When it launched its Kickstarter and pulled in over $3 million from backers who believed in the pitch, a next gen, node based, player driven MMO that would change the genre. Development officially kicked off after that campaign wrapped in mid 2017. For almost a decade, this project has existed in some form of active production. And now, gone. First, let's be clear about something. People lost their jobs. Real developers, artists, designers, engineers, human beings who poured years of their lives into this. Blood, sweat, late nights, broken builds, crunch cycles, whatever went wrong, they're the ones who feel it first and hardest. Players too, the ones who've bought the Founders Pack, Alpha Access, Cosmetics, Belief. Some of those packs weren't cheap. We're talking hundreds of dollars for access to a game that was still deep in development, sometimes only playable during specific testing windows. That's not pocket change, that's commitment. And yes, in my own dramatic, budget conscious way, I've also been screwed. I never bought in, not because I'm morally superior, relax, but because it was expensive. If it had been cheaper, I probably would have thrown my wallet at it like everyone else. I said before that paying premium AAA prices or more for something still in alpha felt wild, especially when access was limited to specific testing phases. So now that it's over, the loudest voices are saying, see, scam. Here's where I complicate things. I don't believe it started as a scam. Call me naive, I've been called worse. Frequently. But look at the timeline. Look at the public development cycle. For years, Intrepid Studios showed work, monthly live streams, gameplay demo, systems breakdowns, the node system, siege mechanics, class archetypes, environmental design. They weren't hiding in a cave counting Kickstarter money. There was visible production. You could log in during testing phases, you could play, you could see the iteration. Was it finished? Not even close, but it existed. That already separates it from actual vaporware disasters like Chronicles of Illyria, where the game was basically a slideshow and vibes. Ashes had an active testing community. Streamers built audiences around it. There was real momentum during Alpha 2. The combat kept evolving, Unreal Engine 5 migration happened, systems were being rebuilt, sometimes painfully slowly, but they were being rebuilt. That doesn't scream day one scam. That screams ambitious MMO with massive scope. And let's be honest, MMO scope is always insane. That's the genre. If you promise dynamic cities, player driven economies, open world PvP, naval combat, castle sieges, reactive world states, and 64 subclasses, congratulations! You've just signed yourself up for development purgatory. Now, that said, there was a shift. Around mid 2025, the tone felt different. Communication felt sharper, more defensive. The Steam release was particularly eyebrow raising, calling something a release while it's still clearly in alpha feels like legal wording doing gymnastics, especially considering the Kickstarter clause stating that backers would be refunded if the game never released it. Technically, releasing an unfinished build can conveniently satisfy that clause. That's not proof of malice, but it is not a great look. Then came the Discord message, Steven Sharif announcing he was stepping down because he ethically disagreed, major quote marks here, with decisions made by the board, even bigger quote marks here. Except, according to public records, Intrepid is essentially controlled by Steven himself and his spouse. no large external board structure publicly documented. So, who exactly was he protesting? Himself? A mirror? That's when things start smelling weird. The timing doesn't help. Years of development, scheme launch, then cancellation not long after. From the outside, it looks abrupt, almost surgical. Now, here's another possibility: mismanagement. Not evil mastermind stuff, not cartoon villain twirling a mustache stuff, just bad scaling. Overexpansion, rise in operational costs, server contracts, staff overhead, engine migration expenses, marketing pushes. When you grow beyond your initial Kickstarter budget, which they did, expectations scale with you. Burn rate goes up, pressure increases. If revenue slows while expenses stay high, things collapse fast. Studios don't implode slowly, they cliff dive. In that scenario, quitting could be less dramatic protest and more legal containment maneuver. Again, not defending, just saying it's plausible. And here's my bigger issue with the discourse. People throwing around the word scam like it means project that failed. A scam requires intent to deceive, intent to make money while knowing there was never product. Ashes showed product. Flawed, unfinished, yeah, delayed, of course, imaginary, no. Failure and fraud are not synonyms. Was their ego involved? Probably. Was there overpromising? Yeah, absolutely. Did money change the tone? Very possibly. Money does that. It warps priorities, it amplifies pressure, it magnifies mistakes, but I've seen actual scams in this space. And Ashes didn't look like one, at least at the start. What makes this whole thing sting is that for a lot of people, developers and players, this wasn't just another MMO. It was a genre revival fantasy. The "this time we'll do it right" dream. I wasn't financially invested, just time, just attention, just cautious optimism wrapped in skepticism. But even so, it feels like losing a future that almost existed. And yeah, maybe I'm coping a little, but there's a difference between coping and refusing to flatten a complicated story into a one-word verdict. Ashes of Creation may have collapsed under its own ambition. It may have been mismanaged, it may have made legally convenient decisions, it may have gotten too big, too expensive, too messy. But it was always a scam is the laziest possible conclusion. And honestly, after 9 years of visible development, that take just doesn't hold up cleanly. All in all, Ashes really was a dream. And before we reduce it to memes and "I told you so" tweets, let's not forget that many people got royally screwed by this. So it's required of us the minimum amount of decency and compassion when talking about this matter. Part of me wants to say, just leave it on Steam, keep it playable in whatever state it's in, let people at least log in, but apparently it's already being pulled. And okay, logically, that makes sense. If the project's done, why keep paying for service, maintenance, infrastructure? That costs money. Shutting it down is the rational move. My keep it online take is pure wishful thinking, I'm aware. I just didn't want the lights turned off that fast. And then there's the broader MMO community. I don't know how we keep doing this to ourselves, honestly. Every new project rolls around and we say, this is the one, this is the genre revival, and then boom, cancelled. Sometimes before alpha, sometimes before gameplay. 2025 alone feels like an MMO graveyard. That Ghost Crawler's project, Project Ghost, I think, Blizzard's survival MMO, Everwild drifting in and out of existence. I think it's dead by now. So many titles announced with cinematic trailers and vapor by the next fiscal quarter. It's insane. Even if you never played Ashes, if you followed MMO news at all, this was the one that seemed most likely to actually ship. It had playable alphas, it had visible systems, the node system alone was genuinely innovative, a dynamic world state mechanic that hadn't really seen executed at the scale before. That's why this one stings differently. Now, about the insider leaks, and I'm putting that in massive quotation marks because none of this is verified, of course, at least until now. There are rumors that Intrepid was sold to a private equity firm. That sounds ominous, sure, but again, unconfirmed. There are also whispers that the unethical decisions Steven referred involved outsourcing development overseas. Maybe, maybe not. People are also speculating about aggressive monetization pivots, pay to win mechanics, hyper monetized cash shops, AI driven content pipelines jammed in to cut costs. Could that have happened? Technically, yes. Do we know? No. And that's the problem. Right now, it's all fog and fragments. Steven has said he'll make a statement soon to clarify everything, so for now, all we can do is wait and see. If I'm forcing myself to find a silver lining and it's a stretch, maybe it's this. If the project was going to spiral into something predatory, something bloated with microtransactions and stitched together with soulless AI systems, then maybe pulling the plug now prevented even more damage. Imagine if they had doubled down, squeezed the community dry, and permanently stained the concept beyond redemption. Maybe this ending, as abrupt as it is, was cleaner than the alternative. That's me trying to look at the bright side. It's a slightly grim, morally exhausted bright side, yeah, but it's something. Maybe one day we'll get a comeback story. The MMO that actually makes it. The one that learns from all the collapses and builds smarter. Who knows? There's always hope. MMO players run on hope. It's basically our primary stat. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Thanks for sticking with me through this rant. If you're still here, you're a real one. Take care. See you in the next one. Bye.